We are live outside of Bowman Hall where Women's Voices of Leadership are hosting an event. More details coming soon.
Find out what intersectionality is and how it's affecting Black women on campus.
How sugary drinks could directly affect your heart health. A new analysis from the UK health monitoring organization.
All across the country today, voters are going to decide who is likely to face President Biden in November. Tonight, we give you a look at Super Tuesday. All this and more as TV2 News starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Good evening, Kent State, and thanks for choosing to spend your Tuesday evening with us.
On this rainy evening, we're going to start by checking in with our reporter out in the field.
That's right. Our very own Skylar Eddington braved the storm to get to Bowman Hall, where a speaker has quite literally traveled the world to talk with Kent State students.
Skylar, tell us about the event.
Hi guys, we are live outside Bowman Hall where Marvi Surmed, a Pakistani journalist, shares her career and how she led to it. She writes about her experience with incidents of violence against women, honor killings, and her attempted assassination. Julie Mazzei shares a little bit about Surmed and how she is changing the journalism field.
She was writing specifically about violence against women. And she published some pieces that made some people very angry. She published a few pieces about specifically honor killings and other issues surrounding women and freedom to choose with whom you spend your life.
This event was a can't miss for anyone interested in the journalism field. The event had space online over Zoom and in person for anyone who wished to attend. At the event, Surmed talked about journalism and her career in it. People in the crowd got to hear all about her experience in starting a career in journalism and the backlash and threat she faced along the way. Be sure to keep an eye out for any other events that the club hosts. Reporting for TV2, I'm Skylar Eddington.
Thank you so much, Skylar. Tonight at 7, Kent State is hosting its annual David and Janet Dix Lecture on Media Ethics. This year's guest speaker is Sam Quinones, an American journalist famous for his coverage of the U.S. opioid epidemic of the 2010s. Head to the third floor of Franklin Hall to hear his talk, Popsicle Vendors, Street Gangs, and Opioids, one reporter's journeys of ethics and storytelling.
March brings with it the start of Women's History Month, and students and faculty all around campus have begun to celebrate.
Lex Rady spoke to some folks on campus about intersectionality. Lex, what did you find out?
That's right, guys. As you may know, March is National Women's History Month. But a topic that goes undiscussed is intersectionality, where multiple traits of a person's identity intersects with one another, especially for Black women.
The word intersectionality is a term coined by civil rights scholar and activist Kimberly Williams Crenshaw. The word is rooted in Black feminism as it describes the disadvantages Black women face as a minority in race and gender.
Being Black and being a woman. Being a Black woman, that's part of intersectionality. There are struggles that both communities face, but when both communities face the same struggle, that's where they overlap.
Intersectionality explains how different traits and experience amongst students can affect their day-to-day lives.
We all have different parts of ourselves and they intersect in different ways throughout our life. So I'm a Black woman. I'm also a Black woman from a poor neighborhood. I'm also a Black woman who's going to college. So I am all of these things intersected together and they give me different privileges. They also give me different setbacks.
The setbacks that Black women face in general intersect with both racism and sexism and still appear on Kent's campus.
Lack of rights, lack of respect, not being seen as fully human, those are all things that impact both communities for different reasons. One's gender focused, the other one's racially focused, but still both communities face those same issues.
There are multiple organizations and groups on Kent State's campus that provide a sense of community for Black women.
Black United Students, we create spaces for Black students. It's Women's History Month. We have a couple events going on. I would say Sister Circle is another organization that does a really good job of providing space for Black women.
However, Black female students still believe that representation throughout campus could be better.
I am the only Black person, I feel like, in my major, and that's because I have not seen any Black people in my class.
We should be more integrated. I would like to see representation of all groups everywhere.
And they believe Kent State can achieve this with more events targeted towards everyone, regardless of race or gender.
So have an event with Fab that focuses on Black history. Like, yes, I understand that it doesn't resonate with everyone, but everyone can come.
For more news coverage on National Women's History Month, continue tuning into 6 p.m. weekday newscasts and visit KentWire.com. For TV2 News, I'm Lex Rady.
Black United students and the undergraduate student government have teamed up to host a special event. In an effort to encourage folks to treat themselves with kindness, they are hosting a letter writing session that starts at 6:30 in E. Timothy Moore Student Multicultural Center. These letters are going to a very special recipient, your future self. Check out the event if you want to leave yourself a special message to read in the future.
Kent City ward boundaries are in a bit of turmoil. Ward boundaries must be drawn within a 10% population differential based on the most recent census data. But because this data was created during the pandemic, it is misrepresenting. City Council is now torn between redrawing the boundaries based on the census or changing the required population differential, both of which will impact city voting procedures for years to come.
And the Kent State Board of Trustees is going to hold their regular scheduled meeting tomorrow. However, some of the items on that agenda are far from what goes on in a normal scheduled meeting. The Board of Trustees are going to establish 5 new majors. Those are going to be Applied Media within the Bachelor of Science and Arts, Biostatistics within the Masters of Public Health, Epidemiology also within the Masters of Public Health, and finally Journalism Education, and that's going to be within the Master of Arts degree.
Good evening, Portage County. I'm Audrey Trevarthen, and I'm here to give you the Tuesday night weather update. So currently it is 64 degrees, and it also feels like 64 degrees. The dew point is at 54, and the wind is moving west to southwest at 6 miles per hour. The humidity is right at a nice 69%, and the visibility is 10 miles. So at 8 p.m., it will stay at 59 degrees, and it will move down to 52 degrees and stay rainy all night. At 8 a.m., it will come back up to 75 degrees and still rainy. And then it will continue to be very rainy, and the sun will set at 6:21 p.m., revealing a waning crescent moon. It will be 44 degrees tomorrow. That's all I have for now, but stick around and I'll have the statewide forecast after the break.
The Portage Crisis Center in Ravenna is currently receiving an expansion. This building is a resource center for assisting those with severe mental health struggles. Currently, it has 11 beds for treatment, but with the expansion, it will increase to 14 beds, plus 4 beds reserved for children and 5 spaces for involuntary holds, which frees up space in local hospitals for dealing with those with medical emergencies.
Police in Cleveland ordered a shelter to shut down. The co-founder of the animal rescue group has been charged with letting 150 dogs within their care to die. They must shut down within a 5-year period and pay a $5,000 fine to Portage County. A plea of no contest was entered last week in the case of Canine Lifeline Incorporated. That's a volunteer-run nonprofit animal rescue, and that's based out of Northfield.
Continuing on resolutions of unfortunate situations, a suspect was arrested regarding the recent shooting at the Canton Hall of Fame. Daryl Harmon, a 35-year-old male, was arrested in Tennessee a few hours ago. The single victim from the shooting is currently in serious condition, but it is said to be non-life-threatening.
Nurses in Akron have decided to avoid hitting the picket lines. That's following a tentative agreement with the Cleveland Clinic's Attorney General. A spokesperson for the Ohio Nurses Association confirmed the plan to hold off and says a more formal statement is going to be issued soon. The organization says union nurses were in contract negotiations with the hospital since January 9th of this year to discuss their top priorities on fair labor practices and staffing.
Super Tuesday likely setting the stage for a White House rematch
Look, a
between
lot
President
presidential
Joe Biden
season. It's Super Tuesday, and believe me when I tell you, what happens tonight is going to impact the arguments you have at Thanksgiving dinner.
How the right kind of push in the right direction could help people improve their health. Coming up after the next break.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, and she convinced me to continue my education. No one receives a diploma alone. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Considering an online pharmacy? Explore BeSafeRx to find useful information and resources to help you purchase medicines safely online. A safe online pharmacy requires a doctor's prescription, has an address in the United States, has a licensed pharmacist, and is licensed by a state pharmacy board. It's best to stay away from online pharmacies that don't meet these criteria. Discover more helpful tips and resources at BeSafeRx. Go to fda.gov/BeSafeRx.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is TV2 News, truly Portage County.
It's Super Tuesday with millions heading to the polls more than a dozen states. It's the biggest day of the presidential primaries for this election cycle. More than 1/3 of the total delegates in both the GOP and Democratic primaries are at stake today.
Julia Benbrook has the story.
Super Tuesday likely setting the stage for a White House rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
I want everybody to come together. We're going to have a unified party because our real opponent happens to be named Biden.
For former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, this is likely her last chance to slow Trump on his way to the GOP nomination.
We lost in 2018. We lost in 2020. We lost in 2022. How much more losing do we have to do before we realize maybe Donald Trump is the problem?
Political communications professor Dan Schnurr says Haley's level of support on Super Tuesday will say a lot about the long-term future of the Republican Party.
It looks like it would take a near miracle, if not a series of near miracles, for Nikki Haley to come back and claim the Republican nomination.
Haley once pledged to support her party's eventual nominee, but is now suggesting she is no longer bound by that promise.
I think I'll make what decision I want to make, but that's not something I'm thinking about.
It's not just the presidential nominees who will chart the nation's political future. Voters will also be choosing candidates in critical down-ballot races. In Alabama, a newly drawn district is expected to choose its representative. North Carolina's hotly contested governor's race could end up mirroring the likely Trump-Biden rematch. And in California, a marquee Senate race to fill the late Senator Dianne Feinstein's former seat. Reporting in Los Angeles County, I'm Julia Benbrook.
It's not just right and left or Democrat or Republican for voters in Arizona. Kristen Sinema is running for re-election after her first term in the Senate. The unique thing about her, she served her term as an independent. Sinema left the Democratic Party and has been a key player in talks between the two parties within the Senate.
According to United Nations expert on the human right to food, Israel is currently committing a war crime in pursuit of genocide by purposely denying access to innocent Palestinian civilians while claiming self-defense. 95% of households in Gaza are rationing food, with 5% of children under the age of 2 being acutely malnourished. The UN notes that intentionally denying objects essential for survival, such as humanitarian aid, is a war crime.
Welcome back, Portage County. We've got the statewide temperatures in the 7-day forecast. Let's start with Northeast Ohio. So in Kent, it is 64, and then moving to Youngstown, it is 68. Across the lake, it's in the mid-50s with 53 in Sandusky, 55 in Cleveland, 56 in Ashtabula. Over in Canton, it is 62, 59 in Mansfield, and 60 in Worcester. For the statewide forecast, it is 61 over in Akron, 70 in Steubenville, 69 in Athens, 67 in Columbus, 62 in Dayton, and 62 in Cincinnati. For the 7-day forecast, it will be pretty rainy for the rest of the week. Wednesday and Thursday, it'll be rainy and cloudy, and then over the weekend, it will drop with a low of 32 on Saturday and a low of 29 on Sunday. And then a little bit of snow will happen on Sunday, and then we will be back to sunny at 58 on Tuesday. That's all the time for today. Thanks for tuning into the weather, Portage County. I'm Audrey Trevarthen, and don't forget your umbrellas. Now let's get back to the news.
Thanks, Audrey. If you were trying to scroll through your day in class today just to see an error message this morning, you weren't alone. Hundreds of thousands of people reported outages between Facebook and Instagram. That means no cat memes, no boomer humor, nothing.
Thankfully, both sites are back up and running, and a spokesperson from Meta says it all came down to a technical issue. Some users have still reported issues logging back in with their two-factor authentication.
How many things have you thought about today? And now that you've thought about that, add one more to the tally.
And now think of how many choices you've made. Research suggests people make up to 35,000 a day, and nobody makes each of them alone. Today, CNN's Health Minute digs into the topic of nudge theory and how it can be used to improve people's health.
From deciding what to wear to choosing what to eat, our brains are in constant decision mode, but we don't decide things on our own.
You may not realize this, but there are invisible forces guiding those decisions.
Chasing Life podcast host Dr. Sanjay Gupta says it's called nudge theory. He says the way options are laid out for us has a significant impact on the choices we make, and these nudges are all around us.
Just think about the Netflix autoplay option. Before you know it, you've watched 5 episodes. That's nudge theory.
But experts say we can use nudges to help improve health. One way is the power of defaults. It can be used to help us choose healthier food options.
That may be as simple as putting fresh fruit on the counter for a snack while keeping the chips out of sight. The healthy snack becomes your default.
Another way is something called temptation bundling, when you pair something you love with something you don't. It may help you opt for exercise.
Getting ice cream? Yes. But going on a long walk to be able to get some instead of keeping it in the house, that's temptation bundling.
Finally, Gupta says to give yourself an emergency reserve. It may help you stay on track for your health.
Let's say your goal is to work out every day for a month, but you miss a day. That might make you feel like you failed and you give up. Instead, say you're allowed to miss some days, maybe even 5 days. Basically, figure out a way to cut yourself some slack.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Speaking of personal health, if you're a fan of the Pepsi Man or any of his sugary friends, listen up. According to analysis from UK Biobank, drinking 2 liters or more of artificially sweetened drinks is linked to a 20% increased rate of irregular heartbeats and 10% more from sugar-sweetened drinks. And while they are not a direct cause of these cardiac issues, it is a significant correlation.
As of the CDC flu data released today, Ohio currently has the highest level of flu activity in the nation, designated as a very high level. During the week ending February 24th, there were 726 hospitalizations due to the flu in the state, which is up almost 15% from before the week before. The CDC says this year's flu strain has been well covered by the 2023 vaccine, and they encourage those who have not already to go get their flu shot.
Thunder. Find out who takes the cake in Los Angeles on your sports report.
If you like basketball and burgers, boy howdy does one fast food joint have a special offer that's perfect for you. More details on the delicious deal still to come.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush, brush. Every day and every night. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. Let them have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Take charge, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother and...
I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color-coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to your 6 p.m. Sports Report. I'm Dom O'Brien, and let's start how we always do with some Kent State athletics right off the bat. We're going to move forward with the KSU football schedule. It was just announced today, and it has been finalized in the Mid-American Conference. The season opens with Kent State traveling to the Steel City to play Pitt on Saturday, August 31st. This will be the 8th ever meeting all time between these two programs, with the most recent coming in 2003. The Golden Flashes have their home opener the following week against St. Francis University Red Flash. Katie Shoemate of the Golden Flashes basketball team is back in the headlines today, for she has been named the MAC Player of the Week. Shoemate averaged 19.5 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 steals per game in the pair of wins they got last week. Kent State's home schedule ends tomorrow night against Ball State, and the contest will be nationally televised on ESPNU at 5 p.m. Now a little update on the KSU baseball game. They are down 7-5 in the 7th inning. There was a little bit of a rain delay and a lightning delay in the middle of the game. And by the way, the Golden Flashes, they had one run in nearly every single inning except the 5th. So be on the lookout to see the final of that score as we send it over to the NBA, the Lakers versus the Thunder. Let's kick it over to the highlights. We started off with LeBron James, per usual, with any Lakers highlight. We're going to kick it over here, 36-40, late in the second quarter, and a dunk, a slam from Anthony Davis, putting it through the twine. He had 24 points and 12 rebounds. Pretty good night for him, as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a nice 3, trying to cut it down to a 6-point deficit. Now we head midway through the third quarter. LeBron James for 3, got it down there. LeBron, again, another good night for him, and he had 19 points, 11 rebounds, pretty average. Another bounce pass and another Anthony Davis layup off the glass, count it and the foul, like LeBron says right there. Now we're going to kick it into overdrive with D'Angelo Russell. He hits a three there, but he was not done. D'Angelo Russell with the handle, with the shot, and it goes through. 103-79 at this point, and they kept on trucking as the final score of this game was 116-104. The Lakers coming out on top against the top team in the West. The NBA is roughly 23 games from the end of the season, and the standings are still up in the air. Very excited to see how things turn out. But that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dom O'Brien. Have a great night, Portage County.
For 21 and looking to try something new for the holiday, stay tuned. It's National Absinthe Day. We'll tell you all about this drink just in time for your Fake Patty's Day weekend.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
How's your hair? Is it pretty?
Daddy.
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll say that. Maybe I'll say that.
It's National Absinthe Day. The alcoholic drink nicknamed the Green Fairy is made of wormwood, fennel, anise, and other herbs. The spirit was created in the 18th century by a French doctor as an elixir to cure many illnesses. As absinthe was gaining popularity in the 20th century, many countries banned it because it was rumored to have hallucinogenic effects. However, that turned out not to be true, and those bans were lifted. If you're going to try some absinthe, hide those car keys and drink responsibly.
Wendy's is rolling out a new March Madness promo with $1 burgers and $2 cheeseburgers, starting with the tournament and going through April 10th. Be aware, however, that you must order through the Wendy's app, be a Wendy's member, and can only take advantage of the promo once throughout its duration. It should be noted that this promo takes place after the controversy of Wendy's attempt at implementing surge pricing.
Man, oh man, you know, I saw that surge pricing story the other day, and it baffled me, the idea of like, ooh, I'm finally off work at 6 p.m. Oh no, peak time. That burger's twice the price. That would be awful.
And it's insane to us now, but could you imagine if people have just laid down on it? Because it wouldn't have just been Wendy's, it would have been McDonald's, it would have been Burger King, it would have been every other fast food chain that would have implemented the same pricing strategy and go, well, Wendy's did it. You weren't mad then.
No.
And then our entire fast food ecosystem would have been turned on its head.
That is a bang to the burger economy that I could not stand personally. But you know, this dollar deal, it's a bit of a thank you gift, and I'm behind it. You know, I'm a big burger guy. You know, I could take it. $2 double burger. That's only one. You only get one per person, but I'll take it.
But for something to eat during the game, honestly, what else do you need? It's the perfect meal to go with it. Burgers and basketball, the two B's, inseparable.
Burgers, basketball.
What else could you ask for? Really?
Exactly. You know, with Absinthe Day being today, you know, as a 21-year-old, I feel like I gotta give that drink a bit of a try.
It's true.
A test run.
You were talking about the origins, but it was designed as a elixir to cure many illnesses. People thought it did. Yeah. You know, that makes sense to me. When you have a 75% alcohol and you stop feeling everything, you stop feeling so bad.
Exactly. If I had a headache, I'm sure it would disappear after 2-3 sips of that green fairy.
I'd call that a healing potion if I didn't know what was what.
You know what? That is all the time we have today.
From TV2 News, my name is Tyler Schlosser.
And I am Noah Rowe. Have a great night, Portage County.
This is Portage County's TV2. This is Portage County's TV2 broadcasting.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything.